Let's be honest, goalie fights hit different. Two masked weirdos from the opposite ends of the rink lock guys, drop the pillows and meet at the center like it's a Western. Rare, yeah, only a tiny slice of all NHL scraps. But when it happens, arenas buzz and timelines melt. You hear the benches exploding, you feel the crowd rise, and somewhere, a coach is sighing into a paper cup. You ready to relive the best of them?
Again, we go again. Osgood and Waugh. It was Vernon and Waugh a year ago. And Waugh popped Vernon pretty good. And Mike Vernon came back and...
Bring your chirps, bring your sense of humor, and maybe keep your mask on. Ron Hextall versus Felix Potvin, 1996. This is the one people point to when they say the greatest goalie fight ever.
Hextall are going to go. I know Felix doesn't think this is a good idea. What is this all about? But Felix is doing all right against the bigger Hextall.
Flyers, Leafs, tension everywhere. Hextall skates the full sheet to meet Potvin at the center. Helmets off, hands up, 30 seconds of heavy punches that felt like 3 rounds. You know it got real when Hextall started bleeding. Plot twist you might not know. Potvin had boxing in the family. His dad worked Montreal Fires. Relatives fought Quebec senior leagues. Does that explain the form? Kinda. Did Hextall care? Not one bit. Watch it again and tell me you didn't lean forward when they squared up. Would you have backed away from Hextall? Or doubled down like Potvin and said, let's go? Patrick Waugh versus Mike Vernon, 1997. Welcome to the rivalry that chewed nails for breakfast. Red Wings, Avalanche. The bad blood started with the playoff hit that broke faces and trust. 1 year later, at Joe Louis Arena, the fuse lit the bomb. Full line brawl. Then the goalies met. Waugh went straight through traffic like a tank. Vernon answered with old school grit, gloves flying, blood on a jersey. Every shot carried the weight of a year's worth of headlines. You could hear the building in your bones. Don't you love how goalies turn into action heroes when the skaters lose the plot? Patrick Waugh versus Chris Osgood, 1998. Same hate, new partner. Waugh came back for another dance a year later. This time it was Osgood. Different style, same circus. They grabbed, they threw, they slipped, they reset. It was messy, honest, and somehow clean at the same time. The clip lives on every best of for a reason. You can see Osgood's spine stiffen. You can see Waugh's competitive engine redline. You ever watch a sequel that hits like the first? This is that. Which Detroit goalie would you have wanted in there? Waugh, Vernon, or Osgood? Mika Kaprizov versus Thomas Vokin, 2004. Predators, Flames, late game pileup, 2 calm, steady Finns. Not today. Vokin didn't like Kaprizov crossing center to peek at his scrum. Helmets off, center ice, long exchange. Vokin landed a few head and neck shots before the Zebras dragged him apart. What makes this one fun is the contrast. 2 technical goaltenders who live on angles and patience decided to test their chins instead. Have you ever seen 2 quiet guys swing like this out of nowhere? You blink and they're toe-to-toe. Robert Esch versus Patrick Lalime, 2004. If you know about Flyers Senators on March 5th, 2004, you know it was chaos. Scraps everywhere. Penalty minutes piled up like laundry. Lalime skated the whole rink after Esch got involved in the crease scrums. He stripped gear so it wouldn't drag him down. Respect the prep. They went at it, then both hit a wall and caught breath. Later, they traded compliments about not taking cheap shots. Imagine punching someone, then sharing mutual respect immediately after. Only hockey, right? Would you have had the cardio to cross the rink first, or waited for him to come to you? Ray Emery versus Martin Byron and Andrew Peters, 2007. Ray Emery did not hide. Smile on, hands fast. He met Byron mid-brawl and dropped him fast. 6 straight punches in under 10 seconds. Then Peters arrived and started throwing too. Emery took the lot and kept grinning. The man picked up a rare double fighting major for a goalie and walked off like he'd finished a heavy bag routine. Tell me that didn't change the game's energy. Be honest, if Emery pointed at you from the other crease, are you still chirping or are you skating to the bench for fresh air? Brent Johnson versus Rick DiPierto, 2011. You want short stories? One punch. Penguins up 3-0. 16 seconds left. DiPietro smiles and skates to center for a dance. Johnson gives him the cleanest right you've ever seen. Down he goes. Face broke. Career never the same. It's brutal and clinical. A reminder that heavyweight hands lived behind those cages. You know to hit when you see it. Silence, then gasps, then ooh. Would you have kept that smile if you knew what was coming? Tim Thomas versus Carey Price, 2011. Rivalry night, minutes stacked up to 182. Everyone fought someone. The goalies looked at each other and shrugged. They went for it. Here's the thing. Neither of them knew how to throw from goalie gear. Thomas believed he could lock Price's right and throw lefts. Price trapped that arm and toppled him. It turned more wrestling than boxing. Still, it's a classic because it shows the other side. Not every goalie scrap is cinematic. Sometimes it's clumsy, funny, and perfect for that exact reason. You ever talk a big game and then trip on the first step? Same energy and still iconic. Mike Smith versus Cam Talbot, 2020. Battle of Alberta was asleep for a while. Then this game slapped it awake. Under a minute left in the second. Scrums in the blue paint. Smith skates to the center like a villain entering stage left. Talbot leaves the crease. They meet at the logo. Gloves off, and the Saddle Dome explodes. Both guys know the history. Oilers, Flames, old scars, new faces. It felt like the past high-five the present. You know those nights when a rivalry changes back into a rivalry? This was one. Which Alberta barn do you prefer for chaos? Rogers or the Dome? Tom Barrasso versus Bob Janekick, 1985. Go back to a time when bench-clearing brawls rolled like storms. Sabres versus Kings.
Just whack and play fair, and he knocks him down. Now he knocked his helmet off, and he knocked him down to the ice.
4 minutes left. Everyone's in. Goalies jog to the middle like it's part of the routine. Barrasso and Janekick square up, throw a few, and get tossed. The nerve of it makes you smile. No grand production, no slow burn. More like, we doing this? Yep, out they go. Ejected. 84 penalty minutes fly onto the sheet like confetti. Think today's NHL would even let this happen? Or would half the benches be in the room by the second whistle? Quick context first. Ron Hextall tops goalie penalty minutes with 569 in 608 games. Lifestyle choice. Ray Emery logged 10 pro fights, 3 in the NHL. Sugar Ray fit. Some goalies poke, some punch. A tiny few did both and smiled after. What makes a goalie fight land? The long skate to center, the nod, the silent pack to do a job nobody hired him for, straps flying, first reach, crowd flips from roar to shriek, benches erupt when a clean shot lands. Bigger than a punch, pure theater, real risk, a decision to meet in the middle. It stays rare. Most scraps skip the masks. You need heat, blue paint piles, a jab to the glove, or a snow spray to the face. A partner who refuses to let it slide, a slow drift, then a sprint, then the gloves. The danger is real. DiPietro's face after Johnson's right. Blood on Vernon's jersey. Gas tanks empty after 20 seconds in Potvin's dance. There's a code. No sticks. No late shots on a downed rival. Bail when arms stop answering. Hockey's fistfight rules. And then, respect. Esch and Lalime nod once they hit a wall. Price laughs about the clumsy tangle with Thomas. Talbot tops Smith as zebras step in. Hextall and Potvin share a center ice beat that says, "We get this." Styles? Take your pick. Jab and hold technicians, bowling ball rushers, haymaker traders, Hextall Potvin for classic brawler energy, Wah Vernon for rivalry poetry, Wah Osgood is the sequel nobody asked for but everyone remembers. Kiprasov Vulcan for the marathon grapple, Esch Lalime for honor, Emery for speed and violence with a grin, Johnson for the KO you show a friend who says goalies lack power, Thomas Price for awkward art, Smith Talbot for a province revived, Barrasso Janekick for an 80s time capsule. The key moment lives before any punch. The crease is home. Blue paint is a castle. You could chirp and wait for stripes, or leave home, skate to center, and write your name into internet memory. Center ice turns into a stage. The whole building holds its breath. A name becomes a story, not a stat. Humor sneaks in too. Smith charging mid-ice like a rhino. Price wrestling instead of posing. Johnson, a backup, touching a jaw once and ending a night. Emery smiling through chaos. When you watch for the next one, scan the red lines. Are they John? Drifting closer when eyes turn. Spot the nod, the drop, elbows peeling pads. In 3 seconds, you'll know if history's loading. If your goalie starts that slide, ask yourself, nerves or standing already? Here's why these scraps hit different. They pull both ends of the rink into one circle. 2 loners become the main event. For half a minute, the mask turns myth, and the person under it becomes folk hero. Every jab becomes a story you retell. So keep the dangles, toe saves, and OT winners, but don't sleep on nights when masked men met at center. The night Hextall bled. Wah as villain and hero. Twice, Emery grinning through storms. Johnson landing the cleanest right hand you ever saw. Smith and Talbot waking a rivalry that begged to scream. 2 80s goalies walking into a bench cleaner like it was routine. You watch for skill and speed. You stay for stories. Goalie fights deliver sound, sweat, disbelief. They don't happen often. That's why they hit so hard. That's why bars argue. That's why you shared the clip before it ended. Your turn. Which scrap lives rent-free in your head? Which center ice meetup made you spill a drink? If a rival waved you in from the far crease, are you skating out or pretending the pegs need fixing? Be honest, then hit play again.